think about you. I can't stop thinking about you.
All these other girls, it just ain't you. You be doing all the things that they can't do. Can't paint them with the same brush I paint you. Girl, you something like a blessing and a saint too. This one chick like to argue and disrespect. It ain't hard to make her come, but she don't come correct. All that trying to overtalk and moving the neck. She just driving me away, she a mental wreck.
I'm loving this energy you're giving me now. I'll do what it takes to keep you around. I want you around.
I really like when you're around.
Baby.
There's a new sheriff coming to a city near you, and I'm well on the mission to bring the new era to policing that will change everything that you know it as it relates to communicating, assisting, helping, delivering the correct and justified acts to remove crimes and to help you as a citizen against every crime that comes against you with the solutions to impact your community, your city, and generations to come with CPWIA, Citizens and Police Immediate Interactive Assistance. I cannot do this on my own. I need your help, and we together can for certainly make the change needed for a better city, a better country, for a better future.
The time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. Steve-O, JB, B. Hudson, and T-Swin. Gon' get your mind right, let's dive in the deep end and attack the issues and problems that hound us today. Yeah, we out here in the field, but we ain't coming to play. We all shepherds trying to keep the flock from going astray. If you wanna be the change, then let's be it today. Now there's always obstacles that's gonna get in your way, but it's important how you handle it, maneuver and pray. We keep you up to date with current affairs. We all know that the structure been broken, so let's make the repairs. There's a culture trying to cancel us and give you a spin, but you can come and get the truth from this panel of men. We on 10, going in, let the speech be free. We about to knock down the doors, you can keep the key. God first, then man, so let's execute the plan and deliver the message so the people can understand. Like, the time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. The time is now, the time is here. Round up the soldiers and lend me your ear. Pick your head up, stick your chest out, be strong, listen closely, cause men can't always be wrong. Men can't always be. Men can't always be. Men can't always be wrong.
What up, everybody? It's your guy T-Swin. Always back to win. You know what I'm saying? And this is the Man Can't Always Be Wrong podcast, brought to you by CTR Media Network. Tonight we have a serious topic talking about a Miss Nikita Washington. And we're going to get into it, and I'm going to bring on my other host.
Once again, it's your boy J Beam. This is Average Joe giving an average opinion, honest opinion. We had a real interesting topic. We got some guests on today. We're not gonna be so one-sided. We got some female opinion on the Man Can Always Be Wrong podcast.
All right.
Hey, greetings, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you all again. Indeed, let's just like all the other topics, we're going to dive into something that's very important, you know, especially in our community. And he's dealing with this young sister. She was, I believe, 35 years old, had 12 children, and was giving birth to her 12th one in the hospital. And now she's no longer here. So the grandmother of these children is raising the kids. And we're gonna get right into it, and let's dive right on and let's get all the feedback. And we want y'all your feedback also. If you have anything to say, any discussions that y'all want to just bring to the forefront for us, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do it. And let's go ahead and do this.
All right, I'm bringing our first guest. What's up? Let the people know who you are.
Shaniqua Snell. I'm in transportation. I do clothes. Always positive.
This is up. Thank you for coming on. All right, we have our second guest.
Hi, I'm Shakira. I am an educator and a mom, so I have that perspective for you. So I do see quite a bit of pregnancy. Being a high school teacher, that's a new beast for me. So thinking about this story and how she started, I think about the kids in my classroom, and that's frightening.
What's up, team? Cut your mic on. Unmute yourself, T. And introduce yourself to the people. All right. Well, let's see, T. I got to get our mic straight, but we're gonna get into it. All right. Like Steve-O said, man, Miss Nikita Washington died while giving birth. She was from Detroit, Michigan. She died while giving birth to her 12th child. And as the story went on, it says now that the kids are with the grandmother, and she was 35 years of age, and her oldest is 19 years old. And so, just to give y'all some background on the story, I'm gonna play a little video so y'all can understand what we're talking about tonight. All right.
That's heartbreaking and difficult to accept.
Even though I went to the funeral and I seen her gone, but my child right here.
Back in December, Patricia Bouncy says her daughter, Nikita Washington, went to Harper University Hospital to have this bundle of joy, Nathaniel, her 12th child. But only Nathaniel came home.
And I said, Lord Jesus, you ain't calling to tell me what you think. I think you telling me. She said, yes, Mama, Nikita is gone.
Nikita died at just 35 years old. Several of her children, who you see here, are so young, but already know pain.
They taking it hard. They have good days, and they have bad days.
And now the entire family is searching for answers as they wait for the results from an autopsy.
If she died naturally, I want to know. If one of them doctors did something, I want to know that too.
Fox 2 reached out to Detroit Medical Center, and we were sent this statement offering condolences, but telling us that due to patient privacy laws, they can't discuss this case.
I'm hurt. I'm confused.
But this grandmother says she must fight to keep Nikita's children together, the oldest being 19 to the youngest, Nathaniel, who is barely 2 months old.
I already thought about it, and I will fight to keep them together and keep them with me.
And that means this family needs help.
I have all 12 of her kids right now, so I got to get a bigger house because my house too small.
The family is not only in need of a new place to call home, they also need a new vehicle. This family vehicle was involved in an accident and is barely drivable. A GoFundMe account has been started on behalf of the family to help them get a new start. To learn how you can donate, go to fox2detroit.com.
Whatever God sits on your heart to do, because we appreciate everything.
But for now, this grandmother just wants Nikita's children to know just how much their mother loved them.
I tell them every day, your mother is right here.
All right. So that's give you guys some context on what we're talking about tonight. Now, a lot of things stuck out to me, and when I saw this, for you guys, when you guys saw that video, what stuck out to you in that video? How'd you guys feel when you heard that story?
Well, you know, one of the main things that stuck out to me is that here it is.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now. So one of the main things for me is I tried to look at the whole.
The kids are innocent, but making stitches. How I feel.
What'd she say?
Go ahead, Steve-O.
Yeah, I think about. Okay, so the mother has 12. So she had to have those 12s, not with another woman. So it had to be another man involved in order to get those kids. So since another man was involved in this, I'm wondering, where is the father of these children? Is my main question. And why is the grandmother taking on the responsibility and not the father who brought the children into this life with the mother? And so the main concern is and it has been always an ongoing thing, not just in our culture, but as a whole. We got to think about the dynamics of the family. Are we going by new trends? Is this a new trend? Is this a new era that we now going into? Because I'm confused about the family structure that many people are having now. Because the father's not, and if the father's not there, there's another woman involved. There's so much confusion in families today, and we got to get back to the basics when it comes to family. That's the main thing that came out of my mind with this situation.
Yeah, now when I saw it, man, the first thing I thought about, man, I said, man, all this responsibility is not being put on the grandmother. You know, we see this too much in our community. It's not her responsibility to raise kids that you made. You know, she can help out, you know, do grandmotherly duties, but the whole responsibility ain't supposed to be on her. So, you know, this woman was 35 years old, and so her oldest kid is 19. So she had her first kid when she was 16. And I did some little research, and supposedly she dropped out of high school when she got pregnant with her first kid. And if you do the math, with the oldest kid to with the newborn, she's like having a kid on the average of every year and a half. And then also do a little more research. The father of the youngest children, he's in jail. And then supposedly another father is dead. So it's like man, are you picking the right people to have kids with? Why are you having all these kids if you can't take care of them? You know?
I agree. I don't think the grandmother should be the one solely responsible for taking care of her grandkids. She should be able to be a grandmother and enjoy her grandchildren. One thing I want to watch the story and see how it develops, because another concern I have is that 19-year-old potentially taking on a parenting role. What if something happens to grandmother? 12 kids is a lot. That is a lot of children to be responsible for, and one of them being a newborn. So then it falls back on those oldest kids having to grow up really, I'm sure they've grown up really fast, because with that many children in one household, I'm sure they're doing more adult things to help provide for their family versus being a kid, which I see a lot of, especially being a high school teacher. I see a lot of kids doing adult things and not just enjoying their life right now, unfortunately, because of family responsibilities that parents put on them. Not that the child assigned to them, but that the parent has now forced them to take on.
Yeah, a lot of time in that situation, the older kids are stuck raising the younger kids. You know, and you can, and from their living conditions, it don't look like they're living in a nice nice home. They're struggling. And so I always feel like why bring kids into the world if they're gonna be coming into a struggling life? You know what I'm saying? Why bring kids into the world if you don't have a stable home? What happened was tragic, but it's like, man, I feel like in our community we got to make better decisions when we bring children into the world. Children do better when they come into 2-parent homes, you know. And it's like nobody's saying anything about the fathers. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it takes 2 people to make a kid. So where these daddies at? And another thing that comes to mind with me, it's like when you have kids by multiple people and things like this happen, you know what I'm saying? One or the other parent might be in a better living situation than that. But that's the kind of things you have to deal with when you have kids by multiple people. You know what I'm saying? One kid might be living in a nice area, their parent doing good, and this other kid, the other parent struggling, and their life is hard. We've seen it. I've had cousins that was like that. Well, they had brothers and sisters in the hood, but they living with their daddy in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? They worried about the other siblings. When you have kids like that, mixed like that, it causes a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Animosity between their group. And it wasn't their decision to pick their father or their mother, but because of their mother and father's not necessarily taking responsibility to be the parent, those children end up, it causes tension between them. And it's hard. It's very difficult for them to get past that or that cycle. If I'm now 19 being the oldest, and now I may potentially have to help grandmother, Lord forbid anything happens to that grandmother. Is now the dad going to picture? Like, that's the thing. Like, if something happens to mom and to dad, then grandmother, if able and willing, should be able to take on that role. But it shouldn't be, like you're saying, it shouldn't be an automatic. Grandmother automatically gets these children. Those dads are getting off easy. That's for sure. If they're not willing to step up and be a parent.
Yeah, that's why you gotta make good selection when you picking the father. And
pick a good one.
The saying is marry before you carry. And I believe that it cuts down a lot. It cuts down a lot, and you should try to have, we can't say that was gonna happen, but you try to have your kids with one person. You know what I'm saying? All my kids about one person. I ain't got multiple baby mamas. I said I ain't want to be in that. Yeah, I ain't want to be in that boat. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm wondering too. This 19-year-old, which is the oldest.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee that he did not have someone in his life, a male figure, that really planted some seeds as he developed into his 19-year-old and becoming a man. I guarantee he did not. And I also can almost probably guarantee he's probably, and if he is, I pray he is, I wonder if he knows the responsibility of work ethics, discipline of working, the discipline of getting his school grades and developing himself up. Is he involved in athletics, or is he involved out in the streets, or is the main thing with him video games? Is it rap? Is it just hanging out in the streets? Young men, young sisters in these days and time, they need to switch their mindset, because out here in the music world, on TV, television, it's all coming against to target the young minds to go against the good thing and to glorify and glamorize and go after the bad things in life. And it's going to take us, and hopefully, because the young minds today too, they're at a stage now that they think they actually can live life without listening to grown adults. And I'm sure, is it Shakira?
Shakira,
excuse me. I'm wondering, do you see that in the high school students that think they can't take, or they don't want to listen, they think they know it all, or what's from your experience as
This is my first year in high school, so now I've been with them for several months, and it is apparent just in how you interact with the kids daily, how they respond to you, who has a father. This is coming from girl and boys and those that don't. And then, of course, your kids get really comfortable with you and they do start sharing, and you do learn that. I'm thinking of one kid specifically. He always mentions mom. He always mentions, but this is a very well-rounded child, very respectful, at this day and age, which is not common. It's almost shocking and jarring when you hear a child say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please. Yeah. And I mean, it's very interesting. So I always ask the kids, like, how old is your mom? How old is your dad? Because I'm 39 and I just turned 39 last month. I am older than a majority of my children's parents. And they are sophomores and juniors in high school. Wow. So that alone, me hearing their age, I have one child, his dad is 33 and he's the second oldest. He is 16.
Wow.
So So it's very vast. But this child, his dad being 33 with a 16-year-old, and this particular child is the second oldest. But that mother and father are still together. They do, I think it's 8 kids in the household. The oldest the oldest is a senior. So let's say dad is 33 and he has a senior in high school. That's their oldest. So I haven't even done the math because it scares me, to be perfectly honest, because I can't imagine at 33 having a senior in high school. But this particular child is very respectful. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. If someone knocks on our door, he'll answer it for us. If the kids are a little too rowdy, hey, sit down. The teacher's trying to talk and we can't hear anything. I can't learn in this environment. He is very mature for his age. Even though his parents are young, they've done something right by their children. They have. So I don't always want to say, oh, they were young and they were ignorant, they didn't understand. We have some people that just rise to the occasion. It worked out for them. They are still together. They met in high school, fell in love, did a little more than they probably should have, but they're making the most of it. Where I do have some kids that have a single mom, but that mom is riding their butt constantly because of the lack of the paternal figure in the house. But that mom is maybe in her 40s, close to 50s, and she's just not about that. Like, you're going to get in here, you're going to go to lesson, you're going to be involved in sports, you're going to get your lesson, because that parent was raised by a parent that was a two-parent household. So I don't know what their circumstances were, but I think it has a lot to do with just the parent in general. Of course, that two-parent household, that's a game changer. It really is for my kids. And I see we have a little bit of both, because my area it's an older area, but there's a lot of 2-story homes. So this is a 2-parent, so it's a working community. But then we have some that are efficiencies, that are right, and then we have trailer parks that share a gate with us that we had to put barbed wire on because the kids were hopping across and doing God knows what on the weekends. So we have it all. Like, we have 3,000 square foot homes to efficiencies and trailer parks, all literally coming to the same school. So I get to see all of it on a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I could say teachers are a big help. They are a big help. Like, I mean, it was only my mother, and here and there my father came around, just told me don't tell my mother. You know, like, when we see stories like this, you got to think about your childhood and your friends. You know, you got to just think about that. Like, I had friends that they done got pregnant while we 14, 15, but I knew what we was doing. We was hanging out, going to the boys' house. You know, I'm the only one like, nah, I'm not doing that. But I had my father, I had uncles, I had aunts. But the teachers, they do help. It's like a getaway. And just watching her story, we don't know her household.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say, oh, the grandmother shouldn't, but we don't know their household. You know, you don't know why she was having sex at 16. You know, I know hanging out with my friends was having sex because their household was messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was gonna get into that. I was gonna get into it. And I was like, do you think that the upbringing and the environment was responsible for her making decisions like that?
Yeah,
it definitely had to play a part in it. I don't think it was just looking at how many children she had in a time span. Whatever was going in her life was not conducive. We can't say she wanted to be a mother. At 16, you don't know that you want to be a mother. That is very abstract to you. That is not a concrete idea. And then her actually becoming a mother, what did it look like? Like, it's very hard to, like, of course, because we don't have all the facts. Like, when you had that first child, did you drop out and take care of that child, or did you drop out and hit the streets? Because it's hard to make an inference because there's so many children in a short amount of time. Has grandmother always been raising the kids? Like, did she ever move out on her own and establish herself? It seems like that's really difficult to do when you're constantly recovering from a pregnancy, you have a newborn, or you're pregnant at the time. That is very difficult. And I think about, like, socioeconomic status. Who's hiring you if you are able to maintain a job? Because who's going to hire someone with a belly? Because, okay, I'm hiring this person, they're going to be out. Exactly. What was her education level? There's so many facets to this story that you can unravel.
Yeah, not only that.
And then Detroit. Go ahead.
Child care also. So who was watching the kids while she was supposedly working? So
And then Detroit, man, the workforce in Detroit is like little to none. Because I don't know if you remember when we had kind of like a recession or so many not chemical plants, but automotive companies had shut down. So a lot of jobs were gone. People was leaving that area because there was no work. Some people started doing things like selling themselves because there was no work in that area. And still to this day, it's hard to find work in that area for people of color. And the property is super cheap. I can go up there and buy a bunch of houses now because everybody was leaving. There's empty houses all over that city. You know what I'm saying?
They're actually paying you to stay there.
What's that?
They're actually paying you to stay there. You get a 3-4 bedroom house with a basement, and they actually pay for the house and everything.
Yeah. And I had one of my dad's good friends lived up there, and he was able to acquire a lot of property because so many people leaving the city, just empty buildings and houses. So you got to think about, you bring your kids into that kind of situation where there's no job opportunities. And inflation, we got inflation. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, economics play a big role. So, you know, if there's jobs, you're going to resort to other means to make ends meet, you know? So, I just say, I think what California was like that too, right? It was a big motor city at one point. And once those factory jobs moved out, you know, that kind of destroyed the black community in California. Yes, I don't know too much about Detroit. But I'm guessing it's the same thing. You know, no jobs. You can support yourself. Either you move, but you probably don't have the money to move, you know, or you have to rely on government assistance. You know, with low quality of living, you know, you're gonna do other things to entertain yourself. You know.
Yeah. Now, one thing I've seen, I've witnessed, I've seen some people, like we just talked about people having babies at 14 and 15. I've known some females that had kids at an early age because they just wanted somebody to love because they had nobody to love them. So, you know, I've seen that in people in environments. They wanted to have a baby just so they could have somebody to love and to care for and get love back. And one thing that I was looking, go ahead.
No, that's generational stuff. If you think about it.
Yeah. And so I was looking into statistics, and in 2020, there was over 500,000 black births in the United States. There was over 800,000 Hispanic births in the United States, and there was 1.8 million white births in the United States. But our black females die while giving birth or while pregnant at 3 times higher than white women. It's like why are our women having the least amount of babies but dying the most? Why do you think that the numbers are so high for maternal mortality in our community?
So I've looked into that, being a black woman. One, the older you get, of course, and it's one of those things. It's because my husband, this was one of the things we talked about when we were talking about having more kids. Like someone mentioned earlier, like, why keep having children if you're below the poverty rate? Why would you keep bringing children in this world? Those were things we factored in. Hey, I'm black, strike one. I've already given birth twice. Now, if we want more kids, we would prefer to have them before the age of 30, because then you're entering a different age. And parents are having kids a lot later and healthier. But as a black woman, it's scary. It's like, I'm older. I'm not being taken seriously. So when I've looked at it, it's like just even asking for an epidural. Some of the responses that we get, we can have a Karen be like, ooh, and they're like, okay, here's the drugs, this is what you need, here's interventions. Whereas a black mother can say something and they're like, oh, you got it, you're strong, you can do this. Or even having, complaining of pains or different things were signs of, you could have placenta previa, you could have different things medically happening, but because you're considered strong, you can handle it. And sometimes it goes too far. So, and I also think about, if you've had 12 kids, have any of these been C-sections? Because then you have scar tissue that's setting in. You've had multiple surgeries. Could your body properly respond to giving birth again, whether it was through a surgical means or an all natural means? She could have hemorrhaged. But for the medical community at that hospital say they don't want to release the information, that's fishy in itself, by itself. You can get a lawyer and get power of attorney, and those records have to be turned over. I was in a car accident last month. My lawyer has privileges to all of the places that I went. So I'm thinking that's a lack of education. You don't know that is a possibility for you. So you're resorting to going on the news to get help. And a GoFundMe because we probably didn't have life insurance. There's so many things that we can pick apart. but the mortality rate for Black moms is astronomical. So you have to take into account and and my husband even said, he's like, I have to be realistic. What if you had another child, you're older? I want to make sure I come out with my wife and my child, not just a child. And then I'm left to raise our children, which I sign up for. Something can happen to anyone on any given day, but I don't think childbirth is going to be the thing that takes you out. But we had to seriously consider that as something we want to do. And it was like, you know what? I have my 2 beautiful kids. I'll be happy with them. I would have loved to have had more, but I have to also be realistic in this world.
You know, I looked at the pictures that shows of the young lady, but the picture that I did see, and then I'm looking at the facial, I'm looking at the kids' facial, even when the news media grandmother and the kids being shown, some of the kids, it was on the face. You felt I saw nothing but in her face. It's like a history of pain, and it seems like the only way she could feel the release of that pain and get attention and the love that comes back to that love was I don't know, but it seems that giving birth was her way out. It seems like to me, and that's a deep thing. And because I can tell you, I know someone right now. She has a few kids, but in every kid she has is from a different man, and she loves attention, so much attention that she have done different things to her. I mean, to her body, surgery, all kinds of things. And she can't even see it, but she's destroying herself. Some people use different things as a way out. And a lot of other people go to drugs and a lot of other things. So, but I'm wondering, was that one of her way out, but just giving birth, having children as a way out? And then for the children, it's a generational curse. And now the children, if they don't get the proper help and assistance, it will be a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It will be an ongoing cycle.
Yeah. Now I've seen these are things that I've witnessed. Now I've seen women who had kids just because they love the attention when they're pregnant. They love all the additional help they getting, gifts and things like that. I've known people like that, and they have kid after kid because they love the attention when they're pregnant. They don't care about taking care of the kid after the kid here. They just love the attention they get while they're pregnant. So I've seen people who had kids, as soon as their kids start walking and get potty trained, they go get pregnant again. They in love with going through pregnancy. And I've known some people that they just getting pregnant so they didn't have to work. Like you mentioned earlier. It's like if you always getting pregnant, why would I hire you for a job? You're gonna barely be there. I've known people that got pregnant just so they didn't have to work. I used to work with a lady when I was doing military police. When a woman would get pregnant in the police force, we'll take her out patrol and then we'll put her in dispatching. She'll do dispatching, get on the microphone, do talking, do desk work. And so this one girl, she got pregnant just so she can keep doing that. Soon as she have her kid, she'll get pregnant again. She's like, I ain't doing patrol. I'm gonna get pregnant again. These words came out of her mouth. So you having these kids and you're not even having them out of love. You just having them so you don't have to work. And you can constantly get a regular paycheck. And I'm seeing this too, like in Section 8 houses. You have some older women giving the younger women game on how to run the system. You know what I'm saying? Not telling them, hey, keep your womb, protect your womb, and save it for somebody that's suitable in a marriage. Now, girl, had these babies. You can get this, you can get that, you can get that. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that a lot in our community, especially in the poor parts. You know, so the hood, Section 8, stuff like that. And it's been an ongoing cycle for a long time in our community. In our country, there's another statistic, though, man. Our country, man, single mothers, our women are 60% of single mothers. You know what I'm saying? According to these statistics, we having the least amount of babies out of these other groups, but we got the most single mothers.
Do you think the programs are all these programs are assisting, making it to where it's so easy just to live off the system instead of have to actually go out and get a job. I think that's some of contributing factors to everything. What do y'all think about that? Because
Definitely enabling.
What's that?
I think the system needs reform because the system is not working. It people, like you said, you see older women schooling the younger generation on how to do it. And take it, these people, like, I know in my area, they're thinking about putting a low income community in, and this is like in Kingwood. So people are fighting it. Like, one of the reasons we moved out here was to escape certain areas of town. Like, that, it just is what it is. And now I'm raising my children to where, like, hey, when we were in the city, they noticed things. Our cars were getting broken into. Like, it was just constant living in the city, but we were closer to work. We were closer to our families, but we had to remove ourselves from the situation. It became a safety thing. And now they're bringing in, I think my kids even said to me, well, yeah, we heard they're going to do this and that. And people are fighting it. At City Hall, they're fighting it because these are homes that are going to be at $400,000 and they're going to be Section 8. So who do you think is going to come in there? I don't care that the person is Black or Hispanic. I could care less about the color of your skin. What I'm worried about is a single mom coming in there with 6 or 7 kids. And now they're living in the community where necessarily they haven't grown up to work for what you have. Because I've had 6 or 7 kids, maybe I don't have child support or I don't have that extra income, but now I can go over here to where people work their butts off to afford what we afford. But now I just have to have another child and I get a bigger house. Like, it's kind of slap in the face. Like, we work our butts off and go to work and my husband's working 12-hour shifts, driving an hour back and forth every day to have what we have. But this person is going to, hey, we're going to move you from the city out here, which I would love for children to have those, like the education. You can't beat it. So we do need to educate our kids. But in order to get the big house with 4 or 5, you have to have that many kids as well. Like, there's got to be qualifications for it. So it's a little unnerving because then you're just going to continue to see that cycle. Hey, my mom had 5 or 6 kids and she had this, that happened. I have a sibling that she preached living off the government. Like, hey, I had 1 more kid and my food stamps went up $300 a month. I have $2,000. We're having a crab boil on the 1st. And we're sitting there with our nuts off. And I'm like,
yeah,
we get crabs when they go on sale at Fiesta. But I'm working my tail off. I didn't know my sister to have a job until I think I saw it on Facebook and it was like at Popeyes. I'm like, your house bigger than mine. In Atlanta with an 1.5 acres and it was Section 8. With a patio built on deck, had a fire pit, and I'm sitting here looking on Facebook like, I just want a down payment for my house. Like come on. And all she's done better than me. I have a college degree. I have a award. I mean, I have all the accolades as an educator. My husband works his butt off making 6 figures. Yeah. But my sister, on paper and on Facebook, looks a hell of a lot better than us and has never had more than a minimum wage job in her life.
I think it's kind of like, everybody's gonna know. Sometimes you fall on hard times, you're gonna need some help. That's fine. You should get the help. You should be able to get the help, but it should be some kind of stipulation where, like, be either going to school or you can only be on that assistance for so many years before it's taken away. Because they're using it. This is a crutch. So so that's my opinion. It's a crutch. It needs to be reformed. I think child support needs to be reformed. I know we talked about this earlier before. I just think that like we said before, I think that man should pay and the woman should pay into an account because it's child support. It's not ex-wife support or ex-girlfriend support. It's supposed to be for your child. So I think that a lot of these systems we have in place are just enabling people to just take advantage of them. It has to be some kind of reform or some kind of way we can stipulation that you can only be on for so long. Because it's just not fair to all of us. We're paying taxes, and working hard. Yeah. Take care. Don't want to do nothing.
But it's a lot of life choices and who you hang out with and what you do. Because, like, I'm that friend where for the past 3 years I got some of my friends like, you know what, you don't got kids. I should have listened to you. Like, I kind of feel bad. I feel bad because some of my friends told me I should have had that abortion that, you told me. And I'm like, dang, I feel bad. Why would I say that? But then again, I know the person you was having sex with. the person you was having sex with was a guy who was at home, and you was always having sex with him at somebody else's house. So sometimes you need those type of friends as well, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I say to people like, hey, when I see people in the street or when I meet people, I just be honest, like, hey, you think you should be doing that? I think you need to think about it. And a lot of people don't say that to people nowadays. Everybody want to talk about this person, talk about that person, but
Yeah.
I think as people, we need to talk to each other, and that's how we can make it better. Because to keep talking about the system, we've been talking about it before we've been born. We need to talk to each other as people, like, you know, get your sister, your brother, your friend, like, hey, look, do you think this is right? You know, because yada, 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 look at the future. Don't look at what's now. Look at the future. That's the only way things can really change.
Yeah.
Those are good points, because a lot of people are not focused on the future. They focus on the right now, and then they focus on themselves. A lot of people just too selfish. Got a lot of selfish people these days and times, and it's sad. No, but you know what? It's interesting too in the conversation that here it is. You have people within a community. You got people who are working and working hard for what they have, and then you have other people with the Section 8 houses, and they don't work. They don't have the ethics of that. But this is the problem too in communities, you know, that I've seen even when I was policing, that a lot of these people who are in these Section 8 houses, and they don't have that mindset to work for the things that they get. You know what else is happening? Is either the parents and the adults in that home, or the children are the ones going out and breaking in other people's homes while they're working. A lot of that's been going on too. And then you take these problems of the children who are not being disciplined by the mother, and if the father's not there, and they go into the school systems in these nice areas, and they disrupt the students in the schools, in the classrooms. So now you got problems in the schools, and now it goes even a little bit farther with all these restrictions within the school systems on what you can do, what you cannot do, what you can say, what you cannot say. Now it's so out of control. Now these kids are bringing, as we already know, and it's still happening, guns, drugs, all kinds of things is going on, and not just in the hood, in the suburbs.
Oh, it's everywhere. It's out here. My kids are 14 and 11, and we've had to have sit-down conversations with them, like, hey, don't ever leave your drink unattended. You're having to explain. Those are not conversations my parents had with me. And their school is very diverse. That was one of the reasons we picked our neighborhood, because I think when I looked at the stats just last month, we're at about 34% white, 33% Hispanic, about 30% African-American, and the rest of those few percentages are like Asian and Pacific Islanders. So we have it looks like Houston, our area, and that was one of the reasons we picked it. It's all over the place. I see it at my school. I see we're like, don't eat candy. There's a such thing as edibles, and this, I mean, these are all kinds of things, but then you also see, we have a school down the street. Homes are more expensive, but there's a lot of apartment complexes around there. And this school is considered the lower income of our district, still a wonderful school, but some of the parents are moving literally just a mile down into a different apartment complex to get a different education, because that school does attract more minority teachers to service that community. So even my kids have said something like, hey, I've noticed a lot of newer kids there, and their clothes are really flashy. They don't want to crease their shoes, Mom. Like, that's a thing, the shoes. So I know they were talking about that. Like, I knew that, without them having to say it. And one of my kids don't care. They will go to Academy and pick out old man walking shoes because they're durable and they're comfortable. Those are my kids. They are their own people. They would love to shop at Target if I still let them. I'm like, no, let's go to the mall. We want to at least look cool, because you're not. But at least we can look the part. And my kid was like, Mom, I saw this kid bragging about he had these $200 shoes from something called the GOAT. My kids don't know what that is. Thank God we're not there yet. And he goes, Mom, it was pouring down, and he took his shoes off and walked in his holy socks to his apartment. And my child, for the life of him, he's like, why my oldest, Tony knows my children. He said, now what sense on earth does that make? That the shoes that you wear to protect your feet from water, from dirt, from debris, that you would take them off to now expose your holy socks. Why in the world would you not get the $60 shoes at Academy with the $40 worth of socks, because the socks will wear out before the shoes, and buy an umbrella instead of buying $200 shoes? He's like, Mom, where does that make? But at the same time, we've raised our child to be very practical in that aspect. But we also, my kid can afford, my child can get $20 shoes every paycheck if he wanted. Thank God that's not his mindset. Thank God. Because one day we're going to get there. He's probably going to be a senior and trying to be cool. MJ, probably not. That's just him. But it's funny to see your kids going, and these are kids that are recently, and he goes, Mom, they're literally walking across the street to the apartment. But he said, but you know what I also noticed, Mom? That kid's the one asking everybody if they're going to finish their lunch because the child doesn't have lunch. But I have on $2 pair of shoes that I can't crease, so I'm walking around with unbent knees looking like a zombie. I look the part, but I can't even afford a sack lunch at school. Like it's very sad. Man, it's very sad.
Those parents' priority. Yeah, those parents' priorities in the wrong place.
Insane. Like, does the kid have a piggy bank? Because mine does. Like, if you want something from the mall and I'm not buying it, go get your wallet, go get your money. Because we're instilling different values in our children. Like, what's big picture? That's what it is, big picture. And I don't think our community has that.
Yeah, so Shanique, you mentioned that people have to be truthful. They got to be truthful and telling you people in some of the decisions that they're making. What are some other things that we need to do as a community to change the future and break this cycle? What are some other actions we need to take?
I mean, I'm from the Bronx, so in New York City, like, I mean, you need to tell them. I see, like I said, I say what I need to say, because I seen, prime example, I seen my moms hang out with a lady who had 6 kids, 6 different daddies, and they sitting in front of the building 8 hours a day, kids peeing in the hallway, brand new building, doing all this stuff. My mother don't say nothing. But, you know, we go to the projects, and I hang out with my uncle, I hang out with his sister, my aunt, and you got your pants halfway off your butt, and you trying to pee somewhere, they going off on you. They don't care who kid you are. You know, they see cops, and, you know, some cops, you know, messing with the kids, they go off. You know, so I've seen that. So when I'm around people and I don't like certain things, I'll say something, or I won't. I'll just walk away from it, you know. But it's all about us just saying something, you know, just saying something. Like I said, my friends, they like, hey, look, I should have got that abortion because, you know, he don't even want to be in my kid life, you know. And I was like, dang, I feel bad. But then now you got a 6-7-year-old who the father don't even want to be bothered. When I was trying to tell my friend at the end of the day, he don't even take care of the other kid. Like, why would you even do that?
Yeah.
So it's about saying everything.
Right.
What happened?
Go ahead, Shakira.
Or just like, I think they're the exception. Like, oh, he'll do right for me when you see he's not doing right for anybody else.
Right.
It's like wishful thinking.
Right. And it's just honestly like trying to just be that friend that a lot of people don't have them true friends. A lot of people have friends that they doing the same thing. That's just like the TV shows, Sisters. They all doing the same thing. And everybody is into it. And I'm like, wow, y'all think that's cool as a sisterhood? Like, I think somebody needs to let them know they're wrong, and they need to either walk away from the situation, or they just need to, you know, really show them, like, look, this ain't right. How y'all treating these guys, how y'all doing this, how you doing that. But it's all about also you knowing who you are as a person as well, because all the stuff we see is people generational stuff. So we just following what we seen growing up. Everybody know right from wrong.
Yeah. And we see a lot too is like we see a lot of celebrities in our community saying they want a baby, but they don't want to get married. They want the baby, or I don't need a man. We see that a lot. We see that pushed on us through media and social media a lot in our community. And you can see it in marketing, in the commercials. you can see where they'll show a white family. They show the mom and the dad and the kids. They show an Asian family. The kids show Hispanic family. Then they'll show a black woman with the kids by herself. Or they'll show the man by themselves in the commercial. You see it on a lot, and they pushing like, okay, everybody else has a happy family except for us. Now, excuse me. Now, back in the days when it came to the church, if you was having a baby out of wedlock, they held you accountable. They wouldn't even allow you back. They wouldn't allow you back in the church. So, it used to be looked on. So they're like, if you're going to have a kid, you better.
Remember, they had separate schools for children that were pregnant. You weren't even allowed to step foot on campus the minute you started showing. You got sent to a different school to take, which I think was a good thing. Hey, Susie got pregnant. She's got to go, because you don't want that advertised like, hey, it should be, not that it's shameful, but it should be, hey, you're not doing what's deemed socially acceptable because you are a teen mom, whatever the circumstances were. But I think it makes that, at that time, it made the child comfortable. Like, I can go to school, I can still get my education. They were providing daycare. So that's the kind of enabling our communities needed. Those slowly got away. Just like drugs is a huge issue in schools now. I remember when I was in school, I remember kids in 8th grade passing drugs around to each other, not knowing what they were. I get pulled in the office and they show me on camera, there was weed exchanged in front of you. And I'm like, I don't know why they were passing grass. Like, I really was just that naive. Those kids were, this was the second to last day of high school. These kids were wealthy, living in huge homes, parents owning their own businesses, but they were all white kids. They were light-skinned kids. I was the only black kid at my school. And me not understanding that. And I get called in the principal's office and I'm like, they're showing me the camera. I was like, no, it was like dried grass. It was dropping all over the ground. I didn't know what they were doing with that. And they're really looking at me like, she really has no idea what's going on. Like, she really doesn't. Every single one of them was expelled from, not just expelled from the school district. Their parents had to pay for them to go to private school. They weren't allowed at sporting events. They were now allowed to, it was strict. And what we've done now is we've gotten away from that. Oh, you have a vape pen, literally catching kids smoking in the bathroom. I swear I get a contact high at least once a week. And from high schoolers, we've had to take all our bathroom doors off of our bathrooms on campus because the kids were in there, blazing. We get kids every single day get taken, but now we have alternative campus. You go for 30, 60, or 90 days and you get to come back to school. It's not a real punishment. We have kids getting caught with felony amounts of drugs. Hey, you get 90 days this time. They're like, okay, let me do my 90. I'm gonna go right back to school and start I'm gonna just come up with a better way not to get caught.
I also think it's where you're at, because me being from New York is very different. We got so much activity, so much stuff going on. When I started going to other places, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, there isn't much to do. Like y'all areas, like there's nothing to do but have sex and drink and party. In New York City, we have teens, it's so much going on in New York City. Y'all saying, hey, someone having 12 kids, you don't really see that too much. So a lot of the stuff to me is kind of new as well, but it's nothing really going on in these other states.
Yeah, cost of living high as hell in New York too, though. So
we're not buying trunks. You gotta pay for a roof over your head.
I used to have a brother-in-law in Louisiana, and in those little small towns, ain't nothing to do but sell drugs and have sex. So you got all these people having kids at very young ages. And this is how crazy it is out there. Some of these people are married, but they got a boyfriend and girlfriend they living with, but they still legally married. They won't even go get the divorce. You know what I'm saying? And this is like normal out there in these little country towns. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think if we enforced it more and had some of those rules back, we could cut down on some of this. And I think if we start teaching our young women and young men to showing better examples of family structure and how a man supposed to treat a woman, how a woman supposed to treat a man, and show them positive family role models, that we can have some change coming in our community. Because right now it's all over the place. Music and media is all over the place.
Yeah, is it? I truly believe if you really look at the trend and how things were then and how it's becoming now, it, like you said, it's a lot of confusion. Everything's all over the place, and it's purposely done that way because this system is set up so now that they already know the way the system is now. By the time if these kids do graduate out of high school, it's so bad now they got to show that if they even do, that the jail system is already, and all these prison systems, they're already prepared to get these kids because these kids already have the mindset. You take a young mind in a school system and you allow them to go in the bathroom and smoke weed and knowing that there's no punishment or nothing that really is going to happen to them. Then on top of that, these kids can cuss these, and I'm seeing now even more on social media, these kids are aggressively, violently attacking the adult teachers, the women and the teachers. So when you have a system like that and it's designed that way, you better believe by the time they get out in the real world and they think they can still have that mindset to do what they do, it's an automatic arrest, assault charges, resisting arrest, as we be seeing already. They're already emotional. So once they get out of high school, they think they can still go out in the real world that way. Boom, it's automatic. And then and then that's why these parents, and I don't have no mercy on these parents, because when you are a parent, it's your responsibility. I don't care what happened in your life. If you have these children, it's your duty. It's your God-given duty as a mother and a father to take care of those children and raise them the right way. Because if not, that's why the system is set up the way it is, because the prison system is going to get them. The jail is going to get them. Police officers are going to get them. And the district attorney, the judges, and all of them, they're going to take these kids and they're going to put them in jail. And they're going to be in there a long time. And these kids these days, they ain't committing no small crimes. These youngsters are literally robbing folks, killing folks, beating up on folks, shooting folks, breaking in people's cars. And you know why? Because they don't have no discipline, there's no structure, and the system is allowing them to do that.
Well, one thing I see is a lack of respect. The kids don't respect themselves. They don't respect others. Going back to they don't respect adults. So when I see a child acting out that way, I always say, and I don't say it out loud to the child, but it's like, what is happening behind closed doors in your home? What I'm seeing is, and then I'll see like open house or something like that. Very few parents do actually show up. And the ones that do, you can tell, like, I knew this kid came from a 2-parent household. Like just from the parents walking in the door, when you get to meet mother and father, and you look at what that child gives you in the classroom, whether they're putting out output, it's just a matter of how they're treating themselves and others. You can tell, okay, this child clearly has a mother and a father in the house. And you can be like, hey, you want me to call your dad? Because I know when I was a kid, if you say I'm gonna call your mom and dad, send me to the principal. I don't want to go home and deal with that. Like, because we had a natural fear, a healthy fear of our parents. I wasn't terrified of my mom and dad, but I knew what to do and what not to do. And how to act and how not to act. And then you said it was a duty to a parent to their child. And I see it as a privilege. And I think that's where the disconnect is. If you see it as, oh, I'm having these kids, how can they benefit me? Like those parents, like you said, the pregnant women that want the attention, that's your mindset. If your mindset doesn't shift to where it's a privilege to raise this individual, to make them a productive citizen of the world, what the hell are you doing being a parent? What is the purpose in having children? That's my thing. I'm not having kids just to have some cute kids. My kids are gorgeous, but that doesn't negate the fact that I still want decent human beings left in this world that I leave behind, because I'm a parent till the day I leave this earth.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't get to be a parent. 18, you're good. Our job is never over because you are still developing and growing as a human being. Whether I'm 80 and you're 60, I still have work to do. I leave this earth. That's a privilege that I get to do. And I think a lot of parents don't see that and take value in that. When I had kids, it was a thought process. You know what? I know what I'm capable of doing. I can give 2 children all I have. I probably can't give that to 5. I'd rather have 2 productive children than 5 that, hey, I did all right. I got 3 out of 5. Like, I'll be all right. Like, it's not an odds game. I want to be all or nothing as a mom.
Gotcha. Now, another thing too is like, when it comes to, so she died, this lady died in the hospital. Supposedly she was bleeding internally and she bled to death. That's one of the things I read. Do you think that a lot of the deaths that are caused for my Black women during pregnancy is the lack of medical care in our communities?
I think a lot of it
proper
is
medical
that.
care.
I think so. But again, 12 births, again, like were they C-sections, because that's surgical procedure where you have scar tissue setting in, and doctors do advise you, hey, after this many, I encourage you to tie your tubes, or let's do some kind of contraceptive so we don't put the mother at risk. Like we said, she probably wasn't able to maintain a job just because of her constant state of pregnant. So what I would assume, she was on government medical insurance is what I'm assuming. So she's not taking the hit as a parent. She's not paying the medical bills. There's probably some assistance. Like, there's not a lot that she had to shell out. So why not keep having them, kind of thing, even if her safety is at risk? Or did she adhere to her doctors and, hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I've had 11, what's 12? Like, then we have celebrities that are, who is it? Who is it? Kiki something. I mean, this woman is, she's popping out babies left and right. And then people put them on the Shade Room and on IG, and we're idolizing these people. And I'm like, one, y'all have to see she has a different lifestyle. Someone else is probably helping raise her kids, where now you're not here and your mother is left to do it without the Kiki funds to do it and the resources to do it. We're not the same people, because it looks glamorous on there, where this doesn't look glamorous.
Yeah, because they was asking for a GoFundMe to get help, and they had supposedly they needed money just so they could bury her. Once again, things wasn't put in place, life insurance and things wasn't put in place in case something happened. Now, in America, we've known that sometimes we don't get the same medical care as everybody else, because it tends to, sometimes when you this color, you Black, you're not gonna get the same attention. There's a book called Medical Apartheid about how they used to experiment on us and do things to us. You know what I'm saying? We've known that our government has given us diseases in the form of vaccines and stuff like that. You know, Tuskegee experiment, all kind of things with us. So my thing is also too, I think that sometimes some of these deaths might be called just to keep a population control on us. You know?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot involved in that, because it goes back from the history that we were brought to slavery in this country. So, of course, the skin color has a lot to do with the amount of how much care that we receive. I mean, that goes without saying. I remember back at home in Rochester, man, there was a hospital that still to this day that was known for Black folks being taken out. No Black person didn't want to go there, especially if you had a medical emergency. Not one Black person. Everybody knew about that hospital. So and I'm sure that's in every city. I'm gonna ask that question. J Bean or T or y'all who are from Houston, is there a hospital here in Houston that's known for that same thing?
Wait, we're gonna say what, Ben Tom?
I was about to say it too. Yeah, some people say, hey, you want to die? Go to Ben Tom. You know.
No, Ben Tom is good, but LBJ.
Yeah.
Don't go to LBJ. That's right. I know that. Don't go to LBJ.
Yeah.
You will.
That's what they take
the good surgeons, good doctors, but it's the staff. Like, they're very poor. Attitude is poor. The company is poor. You go to the parking lot, the parking garage, you get at crackheads, alcoholics, winos, walking around, people on drugs, people on back.
Wow.
Really underrated. It's the company that it keeps, and then it's the location too. But LBJ, if you want to die and go see Jesus, go to LBJ.
Yeah, that's what they take the inmates.
Yeah, unfortunately, somebody who looks like you is gonna take better care of you. You know, unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yep. I switched my son doctor. A black physician told me some stuff I didn't even know. I didn't have to ask for information.
Yeah.
He volunteered it to me. So I'm like, I'm going to stick with this doctor for my son. It's like healthcare for black people in the hood. You got Medicaid, you got government assistance, you got the gold card thing that they had. I don't know if they still have the gold card that's through Harris Health or something that's through Texas or whatever. Said earlier, you got 11. Why not have 12? Why not have 13? I think she would have kept on going. The way it looks to me, girl, some more kids. I can get this government assistance. This food stamps gonna be popping. I can get a job for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. Quit, get some income tax. Best game plan. She didn't have no financial cushion. And then when you die and you're in that situation, we selling fish plate. Everybody looks to you. Face in front of t-shirt. Oh, go find me and this and da. I haven't heard anything about any father stepping up. What day is that? 12 kids. And you got your tubes tied. Medicaid will pay for you to get your tubes tied. They do recommend. I don't know if you heard this, Shakira, but I think if you're not married, if the father's on child support, if you get government assistance, from what I've seen through other people being at a clinic, that second or third child, ma'am, I think you need to reconsider, getting your tubes tied. I've seen doctors tell women this. No, I'm all right. No game plan, no financial cushion. Kids got silver teeth in their mouth. They ain't got the right dental plan. It's jacked up. Where the daddy's at? Nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that goes back to selection, man. That goes back to selection on who you procreate with. Yeah, I've seen some people strategic, like down here in Texas. We have a lot of chemical. We got a lot of chemical plants and stuff like that. You work at a chemical plant, industrial, oil field, you're gonna be making six figures. I've known some people that they specifically seek out these men that have these kind of this income so they can get a kid out of them. Shoot, I had a dude I work with. His sister, she had 4 kids. Each one of them was from a man that made 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? So now she's getting 20% of each one of those men's income, just so she can have a cushiony life. You know what I'm saying? And some of these men she married, stayed married to them for a little bit so she could take half of their 401k. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the system incentivizes some of these women to do these things.
Mm. It's sad. It's beyond peasantry. And I've seen caseworkers say, girl, you need to get on that food stamps. Girl, you need to do, they encouraging it. I have yet to see somebody say, hey, such and such high. You get a grill, you get a certification. It only takes about 6 months to a year. I've never heard that, never seen it. And encouraging this bad behavior, this bad stuff. Girl, we have yet to see any other dads to these 12 kids. You got 12. I had to say 99 bottles of kids on the wall. This girl got kids on the wall. And the grandmother is not 21.
Yeah, you breaking up, T.
If you got that many kids, you supposed to say, okay, I'm gonna have this many kids. Like a husband.
Yeah, you breaking up, T. You breaking up bad.
I'm gonna let somebody else take the mic since I'm breaking up.
So yeah, like when I seen this, I seen a lot of people posting in the comments. They was like, man, I feel sorry for the kids. We gotta help. And my whole mentality was totally different. I was like, we shouldn't help it out. Them people made those decisions. They have to live with their decisions. That's how I feel about it. You bring that many kids in the world, it's your responsibility, nobody else's. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't take somebody else's life away or freedom away because of your bad decisions and your choices. That's what I saw when I saw this. You know, and I just wanted to talk about it because we see it so much in the community. You taking a childhood away from your siblings. Say if you're a young teenager and you got siblings, now you're bringing a baby in the house and you keep having kids. Now your siblings are helping you raise those kids. Their childhoods are being taken away. You know what I'm saying? And those kids' childhoods are being taken away because the oldest kid's gonna be the one taking care of the baby. While you trying to work or do like that. And like I said, it takes two people, man. A father should be stepping up. They saying they're trying to keep the kids together. That automatically says to me, there's more than one daddy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, if these fathers need to step in and take responsibility for what they made. I'm not gonna say it's all on the woman. Man, you lay down with a woman, you're supposed to take care of that kid.
I can't feel sorry for her because she was in control of who she opened her leg. Like I say, men are in control of who they married. Women are in control of who they be intimate with. She had the right to say, you know what? I don't want to do this. She could have stopped there for her. But no, you know what? I'm going to have a good time. Probably the weed help me with my other baby daddy's problems or responsibilities. No, it just didn't go there.
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for her. She made a bad decision. Rest her soul, but she made a bad decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And at 35 too, you start getting into high-risk pregnancy. So a lot of people go ahead.
I have a question. Why do everybody say that? By the time you get 30, 35, like, you know, high risk? Because I'm different. I'm different in the matter because a lot of people that I know in my family and the area I grew up in, people waited to 35, 40 to have kids. It all depends on how you take care of yourself and, you know, and what you do. Because, like I said, I know our uncle had a kid at 40, 45. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
matter of fact, my OBGYN just told me, I was telling my cousin earlier, I said I got diagnosed with menopause. My OBGYN told me, now that you're going through menopause, you at high risk for most women that go through it, they are at a high risk of getting pregnant. That surprised the crap out of me. I don't even want a man to touch me now after hearing that. So I see a lot of people that's, like you said, 40 some years old, 42, having full-term pregnancy. Grown in their own house, doing their own thing. And next thing you know, you with a guy, you intimate, you've been with him for a while, you're not using protection because you trust him, he trusts you, so say, and then here comes a baby out of nowhere. Boom. They so high risk at 35 and up, so they say with age or whatever. But if you are healthy and you got a healthy woman, you know how to throw it back. I've seen it. I got a homegirl right across the way. She's 41 going on 42, and she has a 4-year-old. My eggs are scrambled, honey. I wouldn't want that. She has 2 grown kids already. She was like, oh, I'm done. I'm this and that. They're established. They got degrees. They got their own homes. They travel. They do everything together. Next thing you know, she crept up, got pregnant, went to Cancun, and one thing led to another. Got to start all over again.
I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. And if you know a lot of foreigners and stuff, like they have a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about how you keep yourself up and how you do things. But people have a bunch of kids. It's just their choices. And that's why I said, like, even having friends or seeing people that have that many kids, talk to them. You know, ask them their situation. Ask them if they okay. Ask them, you know, hey, what's up with the father? For the most part, you know, a lot of the mothers keep the kids away from the fathers. So it's like you gotta ask that woman, like, hey, you know, why you do this? Why you do that? So, like I said, it's all about us knowing who we are and just talking to people and helping them. You know, because to keep blaming it's been going on for years. I just feel like you just need to talk to that person, like, hey, look, you got how many kids? And where's the fathers? Let them go with their fathers. You take time for yourself and do what you got to do. When you actually talk to them, a lot of them, they are tired. They are tired. So I think it's all, like I said, I think it's all about talking to them and just seeing what's wrong. Like what is the problem first, understanding them, and then okay, let's take it from there. Because that's all you can do as a society. Because we talking about stuff before we was born, our parents was talking about, or our grandparents was talking about.
Yeah.
So the only way you can change is you got to change from within. Keep talking about it, it really don't do nothing. Really.
Yeah. Now you brought up foreigners. One thing I observe with foreigners, family is a very important thing to them. Family structure is very important. Some of them still do organize. You know, they do they select who they child get married to. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I've noticed I've been to other countries. You've been around the world. I know you be around the world. A lot of times the food that these other people are eating are healthier than what we're eating here in the States too. So their diet and their culture and their traditions are better for bringing children into the world. You know what I'm saying?
They all support their families are really, really close knit, you know? So.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get back to. The problem is that our families need to get back to being more closely knit, you know? Our worlds are just not what they used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, if you think about it, I mean, like I said, I don't have kids, but y'all having kids growing up, think about it, it's real complicated. You got you as a parent to tell your kid, look, if anybody bother you, anybody do anything, tell me. But then if you got other kids and your kids is telling you the same thing, now you're saying, oh, you a snitch. You know, and even though you're playing with them, it's confusing the kid. You know, I see that all the time with some of my friends where they play around with their kids, where it's like, hey, is anybody doing anything? Let me know. And then when they tell you if it's an aunt, an uncle, or whatever the case is, some people don't even know how to deal with that. So it still go back to you telling your friend, your family member, look, we need to do what's right and what's wrong. Because you still got a lot of people that's, even though we grown adults, you get around your parents or aunts or uncles, you still think you're a kid because they're treating you like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff to come into play with stuff, and that's why, like I said, as friends and as people, we need to be telling each other, like, yo, you think this is right, you think that's right, and helping them out. Because it could be confusing, but a lot of people do need help in a sense. Like I said, as far as having a teacher, like a teacher is very helpful. You know, playing a sport, a lot of that is helpful. But just having friends in general, but you need that one honest friend or a couple of them.
Yeah. You need somebody to tell you. You don't need a bunch of yes men. You need somebody to tell you. Yeah. And that's what we don't have that. We don't have solid communities. Like somebody said, we just got hoods. You know.
Yeah. Like being in the hood. I think that's where you might get the most honesty. But the way the world is set up so now, it's so sensitive to where, like she was saying, you need somebody in your corner. If you know you getting off track, hey man, you messing up. You know this ain't right. This, that, other. Or you doing something bad. You know there's another way you can do this, right? Somebody that's gonna check it.
Yeah.
The accountability piece.
Exactly. You don't need nobody. Well, I'm your friend. I'm gonna ride or die for you. If I go rob a bank,
or what does it say? I'm gonna let you do you, boo. It's people in your family, your friends be destroyed. Hey, you know what? I'm doing better than them, so at least I'm doing something right. It's like that constant one up. I'm doing better than you, so I know you're doing wrong, but so am I. But I'm doing better than you. So it's like those monkeys in a barrel. Like we all want to get out. We might not know how to get out. But as a community, if we pieced ourselves together and stopped enabling the bad behavior, we'd be able to lift each other up and come up with a plan. But we're constantly trying to come up on the come up because naturally we're innate to be selfish. We're humans. That's how we're programmed. But when you tap out of the selfishness, you see what can be gained when you step outside of your comfort zone to help others and not just focus on yourself. There's so many things that can be accomplished, not just for you. Even if it ultimately comes from selfish gain, whether you want to say, hey, I helped you get out of that, ultimately you're still helping versus hey, I see you doing wrong. I'm going to let you keep doing it because it makes your wrong's worse than mine. So at least I'm not as bad as you. And you don't need those kind of people in your corner. You need people that are going to be like, hey, get your act together. This isn't what we do. We have a purpose. We have a big picture. And what you're doing now is a step backwards. It's not pushing us to the ultimate goal that you have for yourself.
Yeah,
I agree.
And it's a lot of back and forth right now. There's no guidance. What you see on social media is what's going to get you the most likes, the most hearts instantaneously. And if you don't get that, oh Lord, woe is me, I can't function in the world. I feel like we need to get real Wi-Fi from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. some days. I swear to God, it's like, give the world a break at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen have their phones on there. It's the end of the world. Oh my cell phone. I've seen people that would drop a newborn baby, but would catch their phone.
Like the man jumped out of a plane. It was a black man, went skydiving. He was not ready to jump. I think he was trying to talk himself out of it, but he was going to film himself on the drop, which I can kind of understand. That's a massive event. If you decide to make that decision, I probably want to catch it on film.
Yeah.
The man was not committed. He was playing, but that phone slipped. The man dove out of that. What are the chances that you're going to catch this cell phone at negative 9.8 miles per second? You're not going to catch that phone, but this fool jumped out of the plane in an attempt to do so. What was he going to use? Find my phone? Like, what are you doing? Earth looks like squares of brown and green, but you really think you're going to catch this phone? You a whole fool. You a whole
about
fool.
to catch something. Better catch that
I
concrete.
hope you had insurance on the phone because you weren't thinking big picture when you did all that. Don't just get the phone because it's on sale. Get the $25 extra backup plan in the event your behind decides to let it go in the sky, and then your dumb behind jump behind. Didn't even know if his parachute was equipped. Didn't have the instructor with him, but he leap of faith. He went after this phone. I said his girlfriend was going to kill him because she must have been at the bottom waiting for it to be unlocked. I don't know what was going on, but I saw that and couldn't do anything. At first, it was funny. Then I was like, "That's kind of pitiful."
Yeah, it is
actually very pitiful.
I'm kidding. I like it. Yeah,
and it takes it to a main subject too, man. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. You know.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
I might use that one in class tomorrow.
Yeah. But man, we finna wrap this thing up, man. I appreciate y'all for coming on. I appreciate you, Shakira, Shaniqua, Tima, each one of y'all coming on and giving a female point of view on this topic. And I'm T Swin. This is a Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment, man. And we are on all podcasting platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. We are everywhere. BlogTalkRadio. You can catch us, man, weekly. And any final thoughts from the panel?
Man, I think that we need to get back to loving our neighbor. We don't look out for each other like we used to. It would be a time where your next door neighbor could check you. Like, oh yeah, your son is, and it was acceptable. Because we're a team. But now we done got away from that. We're so busy trying to outdo each other. And just get back to loving your neighbor, man, in our community.
I agree with you on that, because when we were kids growing up, some kids were doing something they had no business, and I was involved in it. And a lady that knew my mom was like, "I'm gonna tell your mom," and she spanked me. She's never spanked me before, but she spanked me because she cared. And where it got to my mom, no cell phone, house phone, landline. And my mom was like, I'm thinking she's not going to tell my mom. She going to forget. I'm outside with these kids. I'm having fun. We turning up. We got the bicycles, people playing football. Phone ring. And I just had a gut feeling. I'm like, there might be such and such mama calling my mama. And my mom was like, Tima, get in here. I want to talk to you. And I'm like, for what? She said, come here. You know how you walk slow and your mom say, come here? You take like 2 centimeters of steps. So my mom tore me up, but it was a community where people cared back then. You looked out for your neighbor. You looked out for the kids. A couple of years ago, the bus, to this day, the bus stops right here at the stop sign on our street. When it's cold out, kids I know their mom, I know their parents, their grandparents, where your coat at? Go back in the house, go get your coat. I'm gonna miss the bus. I will hold the bus for you while you go get your coat. We don't have that today. We had that back then. You know, they say, look out for your neighbor, look out for your people. We need more of that today. And it happens so often, but it's like that old school generation, it's like it's dying out. What are old grandmas that wear the dusters? What are old women that, you know, gossip with the other women, like, girl, guess what, such and such. But I had to tear his behind up. Women, mothers that actually cared, cooked dinner, did this. You know, the dads that drunk a beer barbecue with the other dads talking about their job. Everybody came together as a community. That's like disintegrated now. So I'm glad that you brought that up. We need more of that. I wish it would come back because I miss the old school. I just want to put that out.
My street, we do it. My street, my child had a track meet today. I'm on the other side of town. They're like, I'll go get your kid. We have a grandmother on the street who makes sure that every child gets to the bus stop. If it's raining, if it's we've set ourselves up for that. We have block parties at the end of every school year, the beginning of every school year. But I'm looking at the ages of us as moms. All of the moms are in their 30s, a couple in their early 40s, but we know what it was like to have that, and we want to reproduce that for our kids. But it's a generational thing. I see it eventually coming back. Like, our kids rat each other out. Hey, so-and-so around the corner, they're not supposed to be down there. We know they were told not to go. Our kids play till the street lights come on. When those street lights, you see kids, bikes, you get out of the way, because we know our kids we have 175 houses in our community. Mm-hmm. Everyone's looking out for everybody, which we're very blessed. That's not normal. That is not normal these days. That's like right. Our kids will say, hey, we saw a van up here. We wish they would try to touch somebody because we're going to kill them. Like, and this is we have one bus for our neighborhood because these kids watch out for each other. I wish someone would. They are in trouble with the Clayton's Corner crew. Like, they don't get it.
I like that kind of neighborhood.
But we've actively made that a community. Like, we're like, hey, we're going to get crawfish. We put a 6-foot table out. Everyone come to the middle of the street. Let's eat. But we've actively done that. That doesn't, people hear me say that and they're like, my neighbor's like, I made breakfast tacos, send the kids over so they can eat. I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, we have a pantry. The kids know the 2 bottom shelves are there. Don't touch anything above that. That's for my family. But we've actively made that part of our community, and it's taken work and trust, and you have to trust those around you and around your kids. Like, you can't invite every Tom, Dick, and Harry in your house because you don't know them, and it takes trust, and I don't think we trust people these days. It's hard to when you have someone. I got a message on Facebook, one of my friends marked herself safe. A shooting's happening in one of the malls in El Paso before I got on this. I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure we'll see it on the news in a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a scary world we live in. You have to be very careful and protect what's yours at the end of the day. That includes your family. That includes your friends. If they're yours and you that as an individual, you look out for them.
Yeah. It's a blessing when you got neighbors like that, because sometimes your neighbor
we live in.
You ain't lying about that. When you got neighbors like that and something happens, you can call them. You know, I got a homegirl right now that's the same person I'm talking about. I called the paramedics. Luckily, I had strength to call the paramedics. I couldn't see by myself. I got your son. And I was getting ready to cook dinner, but I didn't prep anything. She was like, he's going to eat. I got clothes over here. He's going to be fed. He's going to get a bath. Don't worry about nothing. That, like you said, it's not normal today. It used to exist and be normal back then, but that's not normal. But I knew my son was going to be straight. He was in good hands. And it was like, I asked him, I said, are you going to be? He looked at me, he said, I'm good. I'm worried about you. We need more of that, but it's like, what is it? What is the old grandmas that's got the dusters on the slides, that, you know, got the fly swat, that pop their kids with a cooking spoon? Sit down, don't do this.
Yeah, can make a sweet potato pie.
I know I'm going on, but I'm just saying.
That one, she lives 4 houses down.
Yeah.
Old school, bring the old school back. You know, the old school is like, you gotta work, girl. You ain't got no daycare. Bring no babies over here. I just put on a pot of ham hocks and this and that. I got them kids, but she's going to work. She's going to school. She's making good decisions. Nowadays, it's like the grandma in the club with the mama. Her daughter's homegirl. It's just not the same.
Yeah. We got grandmas twerking on Instagram.
I'll end with this, and it fits right in with everyone was saying. The vision that I have that God has given me in my years of policing and everything that I've done in policing, all of the problems that I saw in communities, the problems that I saw in school systems, the problems that I saw with policing interacting with the public, interacting with the kids. And all of that led me to this point that I know God has brought me into this world. And part of it is dealing with this term is called CPWIA, Citizens and Police Immediate Interactive Assistance. You got problems in communities and you got problems within policing, and there's a huge gap between the two. Because when it comes to the point when communities do need help, homes do need help, when the police arrive, they come there and they're not there having the understanding of what's going on to actually work with the families in the home. So with Citizens and Police Immediate Interactive Assistance, we work with families, we work with individual mothers, single mother homes, and we work with the fathers and the mothers within the home. Domestic violence, we want to work with the school system. That's the vision also. But the main purpose is we deal with mentoring the youth from their youth to adulthood. And the important thing is that we actually lead, guide, help, and participate, and we will give within every zone area of communities a specific officer that the community can trust and go to when in need, only when in need. And that's the importance of CPWIA, to also work within the school systems. That's the vision also. It hasn't gotten there yet. All this is still in the works. But the important thing is that we mentioned about the accountability, having someone being an accountability person, having someone that people you can trust. Everything is confidential. And then when it comes to documenting and having things set up, God forbid, if need be, when you do need the police, you will have the assistance with CPWIA to get the right police to your home, to your community, to actually do the work necessary and correctly as law enforcement officers. And that's what CPWIA, and that's the vision, is to bring the needed help to families, to communities, the right way, the correct way, to protect and to be proactive against crime, against violence within homes and within communities, and to prevent violence from coming within communities. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the purpose of CPWIA and the vision, to bring that family, that protection, that guidance, and that assistance that we've all been talking about this whole time.
All right, Shanika, any last words?
Everybody, it's great. It's great being on here. It's good knowing y'all, and stay positive. Let's make today better than yesterday, baby. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. That's what's up. Hey, tell them where they can find your products and everything at.
Myenterprise.biz.
All right.
So it's my www.myenterprise.biz, and it's just all about positivity and just staying true to yourself and just making today better than yesterday. Leaving yesterday in the past and just making today better. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all want some dope clothes? Hit our website up. And also, if you want to do some consultations and you want some knowledge about the transportation game, you can hit her up too.
Oh, yeah.
She's a businesswoman. She's on top of her game. And I'm gonna end with this. Like, let's get back to loving ourselves. Let's be this that we want to see, so we can make the change that we want to see. And I appreciate everybody for coming on the panel tonight. We'll see y'all next week. And hey, let's do this again sometime in the future. Thank y'all. We up out of here.
Later.
Yeah, all right, man. It's Guy T. Swin. See y'all next week.
When I think about you, I can't Can't stop thinking about you.
All these other girls, it just ain't you. You be doing all the things that they can't do. Can't paint them with the same brush I paint you. Girl, you something like a blessing and a saint too. This one chick like to argue and disrespect. It ain't hard to make her come, but she don't come correct. All that trying to overtalk and moving the neck. She just driving me away, she a mental wreck.
I'm loving this energy you're giving me now. I'll do what it takes to keep you around. I want you around.
I really like when you're around.
Baby.
There's a new sheriff coming to a city near you, and I'm well on the mission to bring the new era to policing that will change everything that you know it as it relates to communicating, assisting, helping, delivering the correct and justified acts to remove crimes and to help you as a citizen against every crime that comes against you with the solutions to impact your community, your city, and generations to come with CPWIA, Citizens and Police Immediate Interactive Assistance. I cannot do this on my own. I need your help, and we together can for certainly make the change needed for a better city, a better country, for a better future.
No, yeah, if you would like to be a guest on a Men Can't Always Be Wrong podcast, hit us up at mcabwpodcast@gmail. And if you would like to advertise with us, hit us up at mcabwpodcast@gmail. It's your guy T Swin. I'm up out of here.
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, and I want to share with you about CTR Media Network. Have you heard? CTR Media Network is a new standard of podcasting with over 30 plus podcasters. We reach 350 million global listeners worldwide in over 50 plus countries across all major podcasting and social media platforms. We have featured over 1,000 guests. What we specialize in is helping business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and fellow podcasters expand their visibility on our platform. We're all about positioning with visibility, connections, and teaching you how to monetize what you do. Let me tell you something. If you're a business owner, we have sponsorships opportunities. We have commercial slots. We also have opportunities for you to be a featured guest on any of our shows. So what are you waiting for? CTR Media Network is who we are, and this is where you need to be. So go to ctrmedianetwork.com and click our store feature so that you can see which opportunity fits your life and your budget so that we can get started working with you today.